recording now. Hooray! So, here we are with Ross from Smells Like Yarn. So, tell me all about yourself.
My name's Ross, and I like to knit. I like yarn, as you can see behind me, some of my yarn collection. And I don't know, I'm not really sure what else to say.
Well, you have quite a following on YouTube and Instagram, and
Yeah.
I'm sure other social media outlets that I don't even follow.
And it's pretty much just Instagram and YouTube are the two main ones. So
that's pretty cool. How long have you been doing the social media thing?
It's been a while. I think YouTube's been about 8 years now, I think. And then
Wow.
Instagram, I don't know how long Instagram, it's probably been 10 years, I'm guessing, with Instagram. And then a little bit longer with Twitter, but the Twitter is really not yarn related. I mean, I do have my Smells Like Yarn for Twitter, but I don't really as active on it. I got just my own regular Twitter account. It's used for like racing and news. That I'm more active on that, but yeah, I've been on all the social medias for a while now. It's kind of like, I don't know, sucked me in.
Well, it has that effect, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So it's really pretty cool. So how did you get started in social media?
I'm not really sure. It's just kind of like I kind of seen like these apps and heard about them, like checked them out and just kind of used them over time. And because at first, like I had no idea what Twitter was and trying to figure that out. And then over time, just kind of like grasped the idea of it. And now it's like where I go to for news as it happens is Twitter. Then Instagram, kind of the same way. Kind of heard about it, and I think like at the time you can like get Instagram on like Apple devices. So I had like an iPod Touch. So I started Instagram on that, and then just took random pictures around the house with that, and then it kind of evolved to where it is now. And so, and of course, cool. Facebook from way back in the day when you had to have a college email address to use Facebook, and it was only for college students, and so that's going way back. So dating myself there.
Yeah, well, I started a little later than those days on Facebook. But, yeah. But I remember when Facebook was new. I remember MySpace.
Yeah, there's MySpace too.
I was never on. Well, I had a very limited presence on MySpace because I didn't really see the point.
And they could even go way back to like the day of GeoCities, like your own personal website type things, and did all that as well.
Oh my gosh, I do remember GeoCities. I've forgotten about that.
Yeah.
Did you ever do LiveJournal?
I want to say I probably tried it one time, but I tried all the different blogging stuff and website stuff, and I've always been kind of like a computer geeky kid.
I was geeky in many ways, but it was only as an adult that I got into computers. But yeah, I was into LiveJournal for more social things, really. And I still have a lot of friends that I made 10, 15 years ago on LiveJournal, some of whom I've never met in person, but I still hold them dear. But at the same time, then I became more focused on things like we're talking about, like yarn and other things. I was using it for other business endeavors that for me didn't work that well, but for others do. So then, of course, the question that everyone hates: how long have you been doing yarn?
So I think, well, I learned how to knit way back when I was a kid. My mom taught me how to knit and did like plastic canvas and just the basic stuff way back. And then kind of as I got older, kind of like that went to the side. But then about 8 years ago or so, I was like, I need some kind of hobby, something to do, and decided like, let's pull out the yarn and knitting needles and try that again. And started playing around, and like I had knitting looms I played with for a little while, then went to crochet. Then it's like I don't really care for the look of a lot of crochet stuff, so I want to try knitting. So I tried knitting, and boom, that just like it clicked perfectly. It's like, okay, it makes sense. I don't really need to think about it. When I get done, what I finished looks like what it's supposed to look like. It's like I really like this. So just kind of then just went down that rabbit hole of knitting and buying yarn here and there and here. It's like, oh, here's a good sale, here's a good sale, here's a good sale. Then boom, it just kind of like, I don't know what happened. It just closed my eyes. Next thing I know, there's like a whole yarn store in my house. I feel like, but
Exactly. I mean, I covet the yarn wall you have behind you, actually. Now, you actually are a very substantial presence in the yarn-related social media community. So, what do you think that's about?
I don't know, because in my mind, I feel like nobody watches my channel, nobody looks on my Instagram, so it's kind of like I'm just like in one little world where I just post whatever I'm doing, and then it just kind of happens people to kind of find it and watch it and share it and all that stuff. Because like I've never really promoted my YouTube channel. It's kind of like put the videos on YouTube and just let it go and see whatever happens. So,
well, I envy your following on YouTube. I will tell you that, as well as I'm sure the watch hours that you get, because I'm still trying to build watch hours myself. That's why I approached you, of course.
Yeah, it's like when I go into my videos, like I don't even think about like anybody gonna watch it. That's really not like my goal. My goal is just like I just want to share what I made this week, what I got this week, what I found this week, and put it out there. Then if people watch it, sweet. If they don't, I still had a good time doing what I did, and so.
Well, actually, that sounds like a remarkably healthy attitude. So I don't know what you're doing associating with me with such a healthy attitude, but I'm sure I'll turn you off pretty soon. But now, you not too long ago you moved from Michigan to Wisconsin because of your day job, right? Has that had an effect on your crafting life?
More yarn.
Yarn availability.
Yeah, more funds to buy more yarn, I should say. That's what it's done that.
So yes, expendable income is a good thing.
Yeah.
As best I can recall.
Yeah, so that's I do work more hours than I did when I lived in Michigan, so that cuts into some of my time, but I still feel like I craft quite a bit. Except maybe in the summertime it's a little bit less because it's obviously nicer here. So usually out doing more things with friends and just not at home all the time. But during the winter time, it's usually inside in the house, just bundled up, or not really bundled up. I have the heat on usually, but just kind of just like inside, warm and just knitting away and watching movies or TV or whatever. And
yeah, I spent a good part of my childhood in southern Minnesota, so I remember that.
Yeah.
And in fact, it was there that I learned to crochet because my grandmother from North Carolina had come to visit, and so just to hang out together, she was teaching my sister and me. And then, so now I'm well, I crochet a lot. I won't call myself an expert or a maven or anything like that, but I crochet compulsively.
I knit compulsively, so I understand.
Exactly. Yeah. I used to say I make baby blankets compulsively because there are so many really good and really easy baby blanket crochet patterns out there. I mean, really easy ones. And there's some nice yarn that makes really good baby blankets. I don't have enough babies in my life for that.
Same here. It's like all my friends, like none of us any interesting kids, so it's like there's really no kids around me in my life, and so
yeah. Well, actually, I'm in my 50s. Most of my friends are 10 to 15 years younger, and some of them are 10, 15, 20 years younger. Some of them are having kids now, so I get to make them presents, but I still donate most of what I do. Yeah. So then I've seen a lot of the work that you do, and it's really nice job.
Thank you.
Now, do you have patterns that are out there?
I do. I've got, I don't know, how many do I have? I've got a couple hat patterns, and then a shawl pattern, and then a handful, and a scarf pattern, and a handful of dishcloths. They're all on my website, smellslikeyarn.com.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people know my Ross hat. It's kind of, everybody tends to knit that, I see. So.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I always make my hat patterns free to encourage donations.
Mm-hmm.
Other patterns are not free. I was actually thinking of starting up a sort of an ebook for charity. So we'll have to talk offline about whether you want to volunteer one of your patterns for that.
Mm.
But anyway, so what's the most challenging thing that you have done and completed and been proud of when it was done?
There's been quite a few things I've started and challenged me, but never finished. I don't really trying to think of the projects I've done. It's been quite a few over the years. I want to say one it goes way back to like when I first started knitting. I wanted to try, like, I saw the stuffed animals. I wanted to try making those, and they're really cool. And there was like a Halloween, I think, a cat. It was the pattern was by Susan Claudino, and it was a really cool pattern. It was like the first time I tried like knitting a stuffed animal, and like I knit it up, and like it turned out pretty good. So I like posted a picture on Ravelry, and I think like she asked to like feature on the pattern page at that time. I thought that was pretty cool for like one of my first goes at like stuffy knitting in it.
Well, that's very nice.
The designer liked it, so I think that's really. I'm trying to think. I don't know. I kind of tend to stick to more simple, mindless things where I don't need to like really pay attention to the pattern, and so I can just sit there and watch TV or stuff and just not really think about what I'm doing. Just kind of like mindless is what I like the best. So.
Well, I come into the fraction mindless. So I have to say, though, that knitting is still a mystery to me. I can understand crochet, and I'm pretty good at understanding crochet.
See, and I'm the opposite way. I think like crochet is just like, I have no idea. It's like, where do I put my hook? It's like, do I do it to this chain or that chain? And it's just like, where knitting is like, okay, it just goes right in this loop, boom, boom, boom. And it's like, like blinking or breathing. I don't need to think about it when I knit. It just happens.
Oh yeah, I can't do that. And it's interesting. When I was with my ex, we called ourselves a bi-stitchual couple, because I got him into knitting really because he had another hobby that I found annoying. So I got him a beginner's knitting kit. And he became quite an expert. And then not long afterwards, he suggested that I pick up crochet so that we could be that kind of a bi-stitchual couple. And then, of course, we came up with Bearded Yarn Dudes and Mikey Knits and David Crochets,
yeah.
But we're no longer together, but we're still very friendly, and he's allowed me to use that Bearded Yarn Dude's name freely, which is good. But one of the most fun things was when we used to live in the suburbs of New York. We would get on the commuter train going into the city for whatever it was, and he would pull out some project. And better than watching him was watching other people watching him.
Yeah.
And do you get that kind of thing where people are just amazed to see you doing knitting?
I don't really have the opportunity to like to be out in public and knit that often, because usually if I'm like, I drive everywhere I need to go, so obviously I can't knit and drive at the same time. And then
oh sure you can. I'll show you how.
No. And then like if I'm out with friends and stuff, I'm usually just busy spending time with them where I don't even like. Sometimes I'll take knitting, but it never really leaves the car or anything. So it's like it's there, but I just don't work on it. So it's I'd say the few times I've been in public knitting, it's may get a couple people like asking about it, but it's not too often. But like I said, it doesn't really happen a lot where I'm actually out in public and knitting because it just doesn't. I just don't usually go out and do that. Usually have other stuff I'm doing if I'm going out.
I used to take it to like waiting rooms or coffee shops or something, and I would get people saying, "I've never seen a man knitting before," and I would say, "You still haven't. This is crochet." But
Yeah.
they usually didn't appreciate that, but that's okay.
Yeah.
So I get the additional pleasure of having sort of needled them a little bit. So what's on your plate currently?
Currently, I got this project right here next to me that I started a couple days ago, and it's just a little scarf that I'm using, a mini skein set, like a little pride scarf.
Oh, I saw that on your most recent YouTube video.
Yep.
I love that. I love rainbow stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think I've done anything yet in rainbow colors, but I love that sort of thing.
I was gonna try to design something, but time got better with me, and it's like I want to have it done at some point in June, and it's like if I try to come up with an idea for design, it's like it'll never happen. So I just looked around online and found that pattern, and it's like, ooh, I like that style right there, and it works perfectly with the mini skeins. So
yeah. I find that for me, the design ideas come spontaneously,
same with
without
me.
any kind of ideas about timing. Usually, it's if I'm looking at somebody else's pattern and I'm going, I could do that better, or I could do that a little differently, or I could do that a little more easily.
Yeah,
that sort of thing. But do you ever come across other people's patterns? This is my experience, and I might be the only one like this. Do you ever come upon other people's patterns, especially people who are like very well known as pattern creators, and you approach a pattern, or it might be more than one pattern by the same creator, and you give it a try, and you're going, this is more trouble than it's worth?
I can't think of anything that I've dealt with like that where I come across a pattern where I had trouble with, or I really can't think of anything like that, or where that situation I've been in where that's happened.
It is only me then.
But also, I don't like a lot of the stuff I do. I tend to knit my own like ideas, where I rarely go out and like find a pattern, and I usually tend to like stick or go with more like lesser known patterns because I feel like you look around online, like, everybody's knitting the same projects by the same designers. Like, well, there's a ton of other designers out there that deserve the same attention and recognition. So like, I rather knit the patterns where nobody has knit that project and share that, so people say like, hey, there's these other great patterns out there that just because all these other podcasters aren't knitting it, you can also go out there and knit it as well. So I kind of just try to stick with more like lesser known designers and patterns.
I see a lot of really beautiful patterns that I don't try. A lot of them are for women's wear, and I don't have enough women in my life that I'm comfortable with fitting that kind of women's wear on. If you know what I mean.
I think I follow what you're saying. And like for me, I don't enjoy knitting garments. I've tried a couple times to knit sweaters, and I've knit a cardigan once for a friend, and it's like I don't enjoy knitting like larger projects like that. I like to do a lot of like one skein projects where, okay, got a ball of yarn, what can I make with this that uses up all the yarn? That's kind of like what I kind of like stick to, because I've got a lot of random one ball of this, one ball of that, one ball of that. So I kind of stick to more just okay, 100 grams or less type projects or whatever the ball of yarn is. So
crochet is much more of a yarn hog than knitting is. So it's hard to really decide upon a one ball project. I usually get 7 or 12. Um, and then about 3 skeins in, I'm going, what am I doing this? Why am I continuing with this project?
Yeah.
And then I have all these skeins of this color that I normally wouldn't use.
Yep. I learned long ago that I don't do well with large project that use multiple balls of yarn. It's like, nope, let's just kind of stick to that one ball, maybe 2 balls, like 2 different colors type things, and that's about it. That's like my max.
I have what I call service yarns, which are the cheap ones, the acrylic ones, the store brand ones. As long as they're not really harsh to the touch, you know, I'll make blankets out of them. I'll even make sweaters out of them all day long, because when you wash them, they soften up.
Yep.
Usually, but some of these things I just don't know. Now, you have some posh yarns, don't you? Some very, very nice ones.
Yep. I have, you know, your affordable big box yarn store yarns or like craft store yarns. I also got the indie dyed stuff. I got a little bit of both. So
yeah,
I like to focus on using, you can use either of these yarns and make great projects. So don't be turned off by, oh, it's a store brand yarn, I can't use that. Well, you can, and it's okay to use. So that's kind of like also kind of keep focus on that when I do my podcast. It's like, okay, here's some nice stuff, but here's also stuff that's really affordable that also makes nice projects.
Now, you've featured yarn from Popeye Yarns before. Yeah, it might be through you that I first learned of him.
Yep.
And he turned out to be my very first interview in the series, or at least the very first one that I posted. And he's a totally delightful young man. Young. But he does such amazing work.
He does.
And
he's got some great yarns.
His colors are, I just can't say enough about his colors. But in fact, he named one for me. It's called the Ginger Bear colorway. And of course, I had to buy some.
Yeah. If I got some of his yarns, I think I got about a year ago. He reached out to me, so I checked it out and bought some yarn and stuff. And I like it.
His colors are beautiful. I have not received the yarn that I ordered from him yet, but I absolutely cannot wait. I can't wait to start working with it.
Yeah.
But again, it's that kind of posh yarn that intimidates me. That I'm afraid to use, because what if I ruin it? What if I make a mistake and then all this yarn is lost forever?
You just rip it out and try again.
Yeah, I know. I know. I'm just selfish. I have this very, very peasant mentality that came from my upbringing. That's at almost 60 years old. It's still hard to get over. Yeah. So, what am I doing with this? These skeins that I ordered from him were 16 pounds each.
Yeah.
Oh my. When I'm in the habit of buying yarn from like Walmart for about $2.50 a skein.
Yeah. I can totally relate, where it's like I spent $30 for this one skein of yarn, then I got this big old bag of yarn I spent $30 for, and it's like,
yeah, exactly. Have you ever been to a yarn festival?
I have. There is one just over the border in Minnesota. I think Shepherd's Harvest is what it's called. So I've been to that one a couple times. Of course, couldn't go last year, and this year they canceled it. So because it's usually Mother's Day weekend. So hopefully next year get back to it. But I like it because it's a smaller size festival, so it's really like there's not a lot of people. There's a lot of good vendors there. So
exactly.
A lot of Midwest folks, so I get to catch up or meet up with those people. So it's always nice.
Yeah, when I was in New York, I used to go to the New York Sheep and Wool Festival up in Rhinebeck. And it's so easy to get carried away just to buy some of those really expensive hand-dyed
Yeah.
yarns and hand-spun and hand-dyed.
Mhm.
And they're so soft and so beautiful. And
Yeah.
then what the hell are you going to do with it when you get home?
It's like, ooh, I like this color. Ooh, I like that color. I like that color. Then maybe you
Mm-hmm.
got a bag full of yarns. Like, I have no idea what I'm gonna do with these yarns, but I had to buy them.
Exactly, exactly. Well, at least with knitting, you use less of it. But, you know, I think the smallest projects I do are like a toddler hat.
Hmm.
But it's cute.
Yeah.
But yeah, the smallest projects I do are hats, really. But I do lots of other things. So then let's talk about the future. Where do you envision your channel going and your Instagram presence and your yarn and knitting and design um, endeavors?
As far as the future, I just live day by day, and whatever happens, happens. That's kind of how like pretty much how I do the channel Instagram. It's like I don't like try to. What I'm trying to say, it's like I just kind of just like post what I did. And it's like if you go back to like my first videos and like these current videos, it's pretty much kind of like the same format. It's like quality's changed and that stuff's changed over time, but for the most part, it's like I still same person all along. Um, so I really don't like plan out for the future. Like, I want to do this. I want to do this. Like, I'm just gonna do my videos once a week, and whatever happens, cool. Same thing with the designs and patterns. It's like they just kind of like most of them just like pop in my head randomly, and it's like boom, work on it, get it out there, and then yeah. So it's like I said before, it's like I don't really shoot for it to get like so many viewers or so many followers. I just post whatever, and hopefully somebody likes it and gives me a follow. If they don't, I don't care. I'm just doing it for myself, pretty much. It's like
Well, then
I'm
what?
who I focus on.
I think that's a very healthy attitude. What about outside of the Yarny endeavors? What, where do you see the rest of your life going in the next 5, 10, 15 years?
I have no clue. Because if you'd have told me 4 years ago I'd be living in Wisconsin, I would tell like, no, I'm never going to leave Michigan. That Wisconsin was never on my radar as a place to go, and then here I am in Wisconsin right now. So it's I don't know. I just kind of like just whatever happens, happens. I guess I don't really plan
Eau
ahead a lot
Claire,
like that.
Eau Claire's not a bad place. I was
Mm-mm.
in Rochester, and I even remember that as a
I love Eau
child.
Claire. It's just the right size because it's not really big, but it's big enough, and it's got a lot of like the not I say like big city, but kind of like city stuff. And like if I do need to have like big city things, Minneapolis is just hour and a half. Rochester is about 2 hours, so it's not like I'm far away from bigger cities to do things. So
It's funny hearing you call Rochester a big city since I lived there as a kid, and
well,
you
it's one of
know
the
I was.
bigger cities.
I still call it a small city. I don't know what the current size is,
Yeah.
but I mean I now I realize that the Mayo Clinic is huge,
Mm-hmm.
and IBM was there, and Libby's was there. Libby's is what actually brought us there with my dad in a corporate transfer.
Yeah.
Um, so so it is big, but it's
Yep. When I went there last year to go to the Mayo Clinic, it was a lot bigger than what Eau Claire is. So
oh I'm sure, and I can't imagine what it is now. Yeah. I mean, it was like 1977 when we left there. When I was a kid, you were even born in 1977. That was a yes or no question.
oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Oh, were you even born in
No,
1977?
I was
Yeah.
born in
Okay.
'81.
So 1977 is when we left Rochester. So 81, I was my second year of college. See, I told you I was old. Yeah, you're very good to put up with an old geezer like me. Um, Especially with such poor lighting. I really need to adjust that. But
I've got all kinds of lights on around me, so
yeah, I mean, I have a light on the other side of the room. It's just not turned on. But if I get up to go and turn it on, I'll interrupt things.
Mhm.
But anyway. So, anything else that you would like to share with the world?
I don't know, because I tend to be pretty open and share a lot of things through all my social media. So like, there's really nothing there's some stuff I keep private, like with the day job and family stuff. But for the most part, I'm probably an overshare of stuff. But I enjoy it.
I've never thought of you as an oversharer, but and I respect boundaries. Not everyone believes I do, but I do. But so that's just fine.
Yeah.
So I will have all of your links in the description when we post this. I'm not sure what date this will be. I've got a few. I'm doing these on Mondays, and I've got the next few of them lined up already uploaded and scheduled. But I will let you know when it's uploaded and scheduled and give you the link before it's live.
All right.
Not that I'm going to allow you to change anything, but
got nothing to hide.
Well, no, there's nothing about this interview I would change unless it was my behavior. But no, of course. So I think we've had a lovely time, and I want to thank you so much for joining me here.
You're welcome.
And I want to tell everyone to look for Ross at Smells Like Yarn.
Yep.
On YouTube and on Instagram, and I will have all of those links. And if you have any photos that you want me to include, then email them to me, and I will, because we've got time for me to actually pretend that I know how to edit between now and then.
I'll have to look for the picture of that little stuffed animal I was talking about, the cat thing, and
that would be cute. Yeah,
I think there's some pictures on Ravelry, because I think I gave that to my niece years ago, so I don't actually have it in my possession anymore. But yeah.
Okay. Also, the pattern for the Ross hat I think would be perfect if I can actually get this charity project, this ebook together. If you would be okay with sharing that.
Yeah.
Okay, that would be great.
Yep.
So
it's like pretty much like if somebody wants to knit my pattern, I let them, and like they want to, I just don't ask them to like take the pattern and say it's theirs and whatever, and it's not. But yeah, I know Paul Ply Yarns, I think I know at one time had some kits that had, if you bought the yarn, he included my hat pattern with the purchase. So I'm cool with that.
I'm sure that he would have given you proper accreditation for that.
Yep.
Yeah,
because he asked me if they could do it. I was like, yeah, go ahead. That's awesome.
Yeah. He's doing this. Well, this upcoming weekend, the weekend will have come and gone by the time this interview gets posted. But he's doing this Yorkshire Yarn Festival, and I'm just wishing him the best success for that.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you so much for joining me, and thank you
welcome.
for everybody who's been watching us all along.
This is my first time being interviewed by somebody, so it was.
Oh, I can't believe that.
Yeah. Nobody's ever reached out to do this.
Oh my gosh, you have such a huge presence. You have so many followers.
Yeah.
And so many people just refer to you as this really great knitting guy. And when I started talking about interviewing men who do yarn, your name was always among those that came up.
And I never expected that to happen. Like when I started the channel years ago, it's like nobody's ever gonna watch this, so I'm just gonna do these videos every week and put them out. And if somebody watches, cool. Then it's like, over the time, it's just kind of growing and growing and growing, slow and steady, which is kind of cool. So
Well, that's the way it should be.
Hmm.
I think that's great. I think it's wonderful. So many thanks for joining me, and thanks for all of our audience members who have stuck with us through this whole um, interview. And of course, I always say subscribe, like, share, comment, all of that standard YouTube crap, and keep coming back. And thank you so much. I'm going to end the broadcast right
All right.
now.